If you're watching this video, you're most likely already well acquainted with common time management principles. You're likely already balancing a number of different projects and hobbies with the dexterity of a circus performer. That's not your problem. The problem that you're most likely facing is in the very architecture of how you've designed your life. As a doctor working in health tech, a newly married husband, a YouTuber, and someone who takes their health and fitness quite seriously, I managed to find time for everything without burning out or losing my social life. What if I told you the secret to transcending from management to mastering your time lies not within efficiency hacks or maximizing productivity, but something much deeper? This isn't about squeezing more into your already packed schedule or downloading a new app that promises to solve all of your time issues. Today, I'm going to share with you the 4 principles that I leverage to find time for everything. By the end of this video, you'll have unlocked a perspective that redefines what it means to find time for everything. If you currently take life day by day, sort of making a half thought out to-do list at the start of each day, you're perhaps already letting yourself down. Instead, we need to regularly conduct a life audit. What do I mean by this? Vision and forecasting, in my humble opinion, is the very foundation of effective time and therefore life management. It embodies the philosophy that in order to navigate life's complexities, we must first chart a course. This approach of beginning with the end in mind is also mentioned in the very famous book 7 Principles of Highly Effective People. It's far more than just scheduling tasks. It's a holistic strategy for aligning your daily actions with your overarching life goals. Let's say you have a goal in life which is to run a half marathon, and you have clear reasons as to why you want to do that. Maybe you're raising some money for charity, maybe it's a big achievement that you want to achieve and prove to yourself that you can do it, or perhaps it's even something that you're doing for your health and general fitness. If you have the reasons why you want to do something, then you can plan your weeks, your months ahead of that to really fulfill and get you closer and closer to that goal. In my life, this takes the form of a Sunday reset routine or a monthly focus routine. Every month I take some time to sit down and align on the tasks, the projects and key milestones that I want to hit that particular month. On a weekly basis, I then sit down and plan this out even further, creating a plan A and a plan B for how exactly I'm going to achieve those tasks that would take me closer towards my goals. And the reason I make a plan A and a plan B is because life inevitably will go wrong, and when it does go wrong, we can't afford to be in a state of shock. We should be in a place where we can say, okay, things haven't gone the way I wanted it to go. Therefore, instead of doing everything that I plan to do, I'm going to do plan B, which is perhaps a more concise version or less, intensive, and it's something that's still achievable. Now, you don't have to meticulously plan a plan B, but it's to have that philosophy, that understanding, that principle in your mind to know that when things go wrong, you don't just give up, you look for the next plan. For this reason alone, I actually factor in buffer hours and buffer days into my schedule, my vision, my forecast. And what I mean by this is most days I'll have a buffer hour either in the evening or in the morning where I can put in those unwarranted tasks or things that just crop up. But on a monthly basis, buffer days is a concept that, again, I don't really hear spoken about much often. And it's the idea that I will have at least 2 or 3 days factored into my month. I'll look at the month ahead and I'll think, okay, I have these social things on these days, but on these days I'm currently doing nothing. Why don't I just keep these days entirely free? And the reason I do this is because when that week does eventually come around, no doubt there are 5-6 different things that have randomly fallen on my plates and now need doing. And therefore having these buffer days built in also allows for a very sustainable way for you to schedule your days, your weeks, your months. So this nuanced approach not only propels us towards our goals, but also ensures that the journey is grounded by balance and fulfillment. Principle number 2 is to consider life in seasons. There is time for everything, but not everything at the same time. So if you're an average person who isn't a millionaire or a billionaire like me, then unfortunately you don't have the affordability or the resource to outsource every little mundane task. Perhaps if you did, then you would have time for everything in your life. But most of us aren't like that, so we have to plan around it. And this is why I've adopted a seasonal approach to life's endeavors. So this will surprise you. When I talk about season, I'm not talking about the next week or the next 2 weeks. I'm talking about the next few months. I'm talking about the next year. This way I can fully immerse myself in a few things at one given time, whilst also taking a step back from other things, acknowledging that I'm not giving up or I'm not forgetting about these other things. It's just that the time right now is more important that I focus on some things over other things. And it also actually ensures that we actually focus more deeply on a few things and make more progress in terms of depth, rather than having a lot of breadth, in the sense that we take on so many different things and don't really advance in any one thing because we're splitting our time too much and it's too fragmented. Last year was a period of my life that I dubbed as the season of life admin. And what I mean by this is that I wanted to spend an entire year or a focused period of time to really advance in my personal life goals. And so last year was a year that myself and my partner, we focused and we really put it all together in our energy and our efforts towards getting married and buying our first home together. And this meant that we had to step back from, or at least I had to step back from some of my own goals, which were to create some online content or to advance my professional career. And because we did this, I had one of the best experiences of my life when we got married in South Africa with all of our family and friends. And we created so many core memories around that. It felt like everything was perfect. Everything was exactly as we planned it, exactly as all the efforts that we put into it. And not only this, when we came back from South Africa, we went on this hunt to find our first new home together, and we were able to achieve that. And now that those are over and that period or that year in my life, that season is now over, I'm now in my second season, or a different season, which is now all about creating content, sharing value online. And this is why I can do everything. I don't do everything at the same time, but I do everything in seasons. The key message to this principle is less is better. Focus on depth over breadth, and focus on the things that are really important to you at that particular point in your life. Before we talk about principles number 3 and 4, if you're enjoying this video, please do leave a like and a comment down below. Let me know what is your favorite principle and why, but also consider subscribing to my channel as well, where I share my journey through life as a doctor. Principle number 3, work smart, not hard. The ethos here is to guide us away from the traditional sort of grind and hustle of doing as much as we can, as often as we can, to a far more intelligent approach to time management. Let me give you 3 different ways that I work smart. There are some things, unfortunately, that are quite repetitive in nature and things that we have to do either daily or very often. Common examples that I can think of is cooking dinner. So one of the principles that I always try to apply as much as I can is to meal prep and batch as many meals as I can without losing the idea of fulfillment and enjoyment when it comes to cooking dinner. I do think cooking dinner is a very sociable activity, and it's actually a very key and important activity that we should do, especially if you're like me and you're married. It's actually a really fantastic time to spend time together. So I don't try to overly optimize anything in my life, and I stand against that, but I do try to optimize some aspects so it doesn't become too time consuming in my particular life. Another example would be in my YouTube videos. So when I sit here to make a YouTube video, it takes me some time to set this all up with the lighting, with the camera, with the audio, and that time can be saved. If I was to set this process up once and then sit here and film a few videos, then I actually take away that prep time, that setup time for the subsequent videos that I film. You can reduce the amount of fixed costs that you have to spend with everything that you do in life by batching as many things as you can, and doing that in a sort of fashion that is sustainable and doesn't take away and make things too boring. For example, if I was to set up this camera here and batch film the next 20 videos, I might be physically exhausted and really mentally challenged by the end of it. Also, it's not going to be a fun process. It's not going to be fun to sit here and film 20 videos. The second way I work smart is by coupling compatible activities. So what I mean by this is perhaps by listening to an audiobook whilst I'm at the gym, gym or going for a long walk, but also sticking on a podcast, so that essentially what we're achieving here is two birds with one stone. We get more done in less time and we're able to free up that time into other aspects or other parts of our schedule. This last way I work smart might actually surprise you. In medicine, we have a term known as the minimum effective dose, and this terminology and this principle has found my way into how I schedule and manage my time. Vast majority of things that we do in life, whether we give our 100% or whether we give our 50% effort, as long as the task is done to a minimum effective sort of satisfactory level, then it's often brushed away as complete and no one cares any further than that. Now, of course, if you're striving to get the highest grade in a class, then you need to go above the minimum effective dose, essentially above the pass mark. However, for the vast majority of things that we tend to need to achieve in life, the minimum effective dose is far than enough. And actually, in a really famous interview, when Bill Gates was asked about his hiring techniques, he actually said, I would always go for the laziest person that I can find, because they'll find the easiest way to do something. You know, with this in mind, I've tried to optimize everything where possible to the minimum effective dose. So with my gym workouts that used to take me like 2-3 hours in the gym, I've now optimized that to just 1 hour. So with this in mind, I would re-audit your life and consider where you can dial down on your effort and energy, whilst then taking that energy and effort into other tasks where if you were to give it more energy, more effort, actually the outcome would be far greater. So the final principle, and principle number 4, is to be ruthlessly selective of how you spend your time. Now, I don't need to tell you that time is a finite resource. We can always make more money, but we can never make more time. You know, the key here is, when I say find time for everything, it's not about finding time for absolutely everything. 100% no. It's about finding time for the things that truly matter to your life, the things that make you really happy, the things that you find very fulfilling, and the meaningful things in your life. Those are the things that you want to allocate some time to. Anything else is just noise, is clutter, and you should be saying no to as many different things that come your way as possible. Now, I do completely appreciate that at different stages of your life, you want to take this with a different angle, a different perspective. For example, if you're young, if you're 18, if you're still in college, if you're just going to university, then yes, you do want to be saying yes to a lot of different opportunities, and you want to be taking more and more things on, because you're still finding yourself. So by doing lots of different things and putting your efforts into lots of different projects, then you can really identify what you want in life. In a really famous book by Derek Sivers, he says, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And that's my guiding principle. That's how I filter through life, and that's how I think about things. You know, from my perspective, it would actually be really easy to say yes to the low-hanging fruit, you know, go for that slightly higher paying job, or to say yes to a brand collab so I can earn some money. Whilst in the short term, it might be beneficial to earn more money or to get that brand collab come through, in the long term, it would actually take away from my brand identity, from my values, and what I want to overall achieve in life. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no, and you should focus your energy and your efforts on the things that truly matter to you. So in conclusion, this is how I find time for everything. Number 1, I regularly take a life audit, and I have a clear vision and forecast of where I want to be heading. Secondly, I consider my life in seasons, such as a few months or even a year or two. Thirdly, I work smart, not hard. And finally, I'm ruthlessly selective of how I spend the most valuable resource in my life, which is my own time. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found some value, and if your goal is to build healthier habits in all avenues of life, then do subscribe to my channel, where I share my journey through life as a doctor. As always, stay safe, stay happy, and I'll see you in the next video.